In today's tale, I wanted to share with you the experiences of a real-life paranormal investigator by the name of Mark Wallbank of hauntedauckland.com. I've recently come to know Mark in an intriguing way. First, I'd come across his article on the haunted St. James Theatre while I was researching for my video on that subject. Then, on my last birthday, my next-door neighbour gave me a copy of his book. At first I thought this was a funny little coincidence. She had no idea that I was already acquainted with his work, but knew that I was curious about the subject matter. However, while I was flicking through the pages of his book, looking at the pictures printed within, or some of the locations he covers, I saw a familiar name appear underneath one of the photos. Another coincidence. The photo was taken by my good friend's twin brother. A few weeks went by and lo and behold, Mark actually found one of my videos independently of our apparent connection, and he reached out to me to draw my attention to his work in the field. While reading his book, I discovered yet another little coincidence. Mark grew up in the same part of Auckland as I did, the beautiful eastern suburb of Howick. Perhaps all these coincidences are just that, coincidences. But regardless, I intend to keep a close eye on his various activities, as he's the first real-life paranormal investigator that I can now say I know personally. And that's kind of exciting. On the subject of our hometown, Mark's team have conducted many investigations into what has become known as the Puhinui Homestead of the Howick Historical Village, which is described as a living museum and a recreation of New Zealand's colonial life that uses surviving buildings from the surrounding areas. In fact, if you are familiar with the popular YouTube channel Viva La Dirt League, you will have already seen much of the village in their epic NPC Man videos, as this has been a popular filming location for that channel. In 1861, William McLaughlin, the son of Thomas Morris McLaughlin, built a magnificent family homestead on their family's 1,152-hectare farm in Auckland's Manukau region. The house stood proud for well over a century before the family eventually donated it to the Howick Historical Society, and it was relocated to the village on February 12, 1982. Of course, there are those who believe the house to be haunted. Sightings have abounded of a woman climbing the house's ancient wooden staircase. Again, a woman has been seen from time to time in the upstairs master bedroom. Some believe the lady to be Sarita, the long-since-deceased daughter of William McLaughlin. Mark's team have conducted multiple investigative visits to the Howick Historical Village. It was during such a visit in 2010 that the Puhinui Homestead was undertaking some renovations and a repaint, with scaffolding hugging the building's exterior. Before the team arrived that day, a painter who had been working on the site saw a woman dressed in colonial garb, making her way up the stairs while he was outside painting a window frame. He glanced through the window and there she was, right where she was not meant to be, as the homestead was locked and no one had gone inside. As a side note, it is thought by some paranormal investigators that renovations and construction work can sometimes be a trigger for ghostly occurrences. While the investigation was underway, a team member was in the main parlour of the house, where a 3-metre tall curtain, made from heavy velvet material, moved mysteriously by itself. Now, it was a windy day that day, and although the window behind the curtain had been removed, the cavity had been covered with tarpaulin. However, the investigator said the movement was more like a tug than the wavy movement caused by wind. While the moving curtain is certainly not something to get too excited about, the team also reported the sound of loud footsteps coming from not just the downstairs hallway, but from the various rooms upstairs. They were loud and clear as if someone was walking with purpose, but of course, there was no one there to be seen. On a separate occasion, a brave team member was able to spend the night in the empty homestead, completely by themselves. I'm not exactly sure how one manages to fall asleep while spending the night alone in an apparently haunted house, but while they slept, they felt an unseen entity physically poke them awake. It was during another such overnight stay that a team member recorded a flat, heavy torch that was thrown down a spiraling stairwell in the early hours of the morning. That same night, the investigator caught 12 minutes of clear audio, recording the obvious sound of movement, scraping, clunking, footsteps, and shifting furniture. I cannot confidently say that I would be willing to dive headfirst into a paranormal investigation like this. The idea of intentionally spending the night alone amidst invisible beings is indeed a spooky one. If I'm being honest, I have some conscientious misgivings about tempting fate and making myself an easy target for things we don't really understand. But from what I've read of Mark and his work, he is the real deal, a genuinely curious and committed individual who longs to pull back the curtain and uncover the mysteries surrounding paranormal experience. I've included a link in the description below to his website if you'd like to learn more about what he and his team get up to. But what about you? Have you ever spent the night alone in a so-called haunted house? Have you seen someone walking up the stairs only to disappear? Or perhaps you've heard purposeful footsteps carrying an unseen individual from one room to another. Please share your tale with me at tellyourtalehere@gmail.com, and until next time, be careful where you leave your torch at night.